White supremacist avoids jail after being told to read Jane Austen and William Shakespeare.
Oh my god.
That is a real headline.
What a headline. All right, that's definitely making the snippet, man. That's some like
Some real
like,
shit, right?
No, that's I can't even you can't even make up that shit. That's like, in films when they want to get somebody off murder, they're like, yeah, man, claim you're insane type of thing, right? So are you mad or are you bad?
Plead insanity, yeah.
That's just like, come on, man. So, he's a white supremacist, so he's not cultured. Let's culture him with some Jane Austen. Sorry, Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre or Jane Austen?
Jane Austen. Sorry, no.
Jane
Austen. Is it Jane? No, fuck. Is it Jane Austen? Yeah, it is. Fucking hell, because you confuse me now with Jane Eyre. I'm like, it sounds like it should be Jane Eyre. No, it's Jane Austen. Yeah.
Right, and Shakespeare. Okay, because that's the solution, isn't it?
So, backstory. This guy...
1 second. America?
No, England.
England? Oh my god.
So, backstory is I think it's a kid from Leicester. Let me just check. Did he go to Leicester Uni? De Montfort, sorry, Leicester and DMU, can't help it. 21-year-old student, right? He was found guilty of reading like a bunch of stuff on how to make bombs, I think it was. Is it bombs? Let me just check. No, found guilty of possessing a record of information likely to prepare an act of terrorism in August. He had over 70,000 pages worth of info.
Oh, so they're tracking this dude for a while.
Yeah, they've been tracking
70,000 pages. I mean, that's pretty incriminating.
That's pretty substantial, right? And he
was
found,
lone wolf or organization?
Well, they claim it's a lone wolf. And what's essentially happened is he was found guilty. The judge was asked to sentence him. And he said, I feel like if you read more cultured things, you might be able to break out of this. Like, that's pretty much the gist of what he said. And I was gobsmacked.
Remind me, how old is he again?
21 years old, student.
Okay, you're the judge now. Tell me what's your verdict? How do you reform this gentleman?
You send him to jail. And then you put him through some sort of reform process, like we spoke about, some sort of, not therapy, but some sort of psychiatric treatment to understand how he got to that position and try and rehabilitate him. That's the logical way of doing it. Did he carry out any... No, but there's intent, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know enough about law to know. Do you prosecute on just intent? Or?
I think you might be able to prosecute on intent because you can get stuff like conspiracy to murder, etc. I'm thinking America here, but you can get done on conspiracy.
Guys, if you're listening, for any lawyers, barristers, solicitors, whatever you want to call yourselves on this thing, drop us a comment. It'd be interesting to know, like, what is the grounds here for ruling? Because it sounds like what you're saying. So the judge is quite favourable. It'll be interesting to see what case was made from the defence side. Like, he's been brainwashed or...
Yeah, so I think they definitely went with the brainwashing thing. And the judge basically said, if you come back to this and in a few months' time you haven't read those books and I test you on it, I'll put you in jail. So I'm like, so all he has to do is read 2 books and then he's good to go. 2 books, Goran.
Yeah. No, I get it. So he's built in some accountability, which is okay, better than nothing, I guess.
Goran, that's shit accountability, man. I'm sorry. You can blag. You look, if you give me 2 books to read, right? Yeah. I will read it. Cool. I'll do that to avoid a jail sentence.
But you've got to remember, look, this guy has not been prosecuted, which means they are aware that he's obviously being tracked, which means, like, if he starts looking at shit again, they're going to know, man. And he's probably aware.
Oh, yeah, they can find that easily. But does this send a strong enough warning to people with that? Saying, this is going to be used in future cases, saying, well, you gave this guy this much, why can't you do the same for this guy? That's what they're going to start doing.
Yeah.
Because you set a precedent by letting people off with that. It can be used in future cases, saying, similar case, similar court, similar age, what do you think?
It's the same debate again, isn't it? Does somebody learn by positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement? It's about love and hate.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that's hard for a judge is when he's looking at a case like this, does this person in front of me pose an active threat if I keep him out of jail? That's what they're really having to think about. That's what I'd be thinking about. Like, if I let this guy go, is he going to do some more like gangster shit and just try and do something? Or is he impressionable enough that actually we could, with the right, like, kind of da-da-da-da-da. Now, it's a bit soft, like I said, 2 books. Definitely he should be in some sort of, like, coaching, mentoring, counseling, therapy type setting, like some sort of intensive program, minimum, right? To, like you said, uncover his kind of drivers. How did you get to this point? Why do you think this is the right way to think? And then, whatever, going forward. That is pretty soft, man. But again, like I know we talk about stuff in the podcast and we look at one part of it. I'd love then to look at the case, because if you're a judge, it shouldn't be a snap decision. You must have heard the whole story and be interested.
Yeah, you must have heard the whole story. I respect that, but we're looking at this from the outside looking in, and you see that and you think that doesn't add up. For example, would the same leniency be given to a person who's, say, Muslim, who is maybe on the brink of being radicalized by IS, Islamic State? Would the same leniency be given there? Would you tell him to go and read Shakespeare and Jane Eyre? No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. So the race card. Now, here's the other thing. So I'd come back on that.
I'm not saying the race card. I'm just giving you a person who's non-white. It's
my question would be, my question would then be, what are the statistics on? I don't know this. I'm just putting this out there. If there is a certain subset of, let's say, extremist or terrorist who's much more likely to commit acts of terror, right? Then I'd think, well, maybe they're less lenient to those people, that type of person, compared to some other group of people who are less likely to be like that, and maybe they're more. But you're right. On paper, you'd think, okay, yeah, the brown guy, he's going to be... Because the connotation is that the brown guys do serious things, like serious big things that actually happen, whereas the white guys are just quite sporadic, and it's just not as much, is the general feeling.
That's the general feel, but then when you look at numbers,
it is more
terrorism, it's more white people than brown people. Sorry, or just the colour people.
Yeah, and that's not the picture that gets painted, is it? But the connotation is, or the assumption is completely the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then what would, again, this isn't a good thing to be interesting about, but it would be interesting in the sense that if a subsequent case were to happen and it was somebody of colour, similar circumstance, with this precedent that you're on about, because if you're the defending lawyer in that case, then you're going to use a previous case as precedence.
You're going to angle to try and get this judge again, basically, just to see if he'll give the same sentence.
Yeah, I don't think you can lobby to get a specific judge.
I know you can't. It just depends on the day you show up. That's it.
Yeah. But you can fight. Like case law, they call it. I think it's called. It's when there's a certain case, like a case that they quote, this is the outcome based on this. This is therefore similar to this. We're asking for this. Apples for apples. Yeah. But the same old thing, man. When it's supremacist rather than terrorist, that's the other thing. This wordplay.
Well, this goes back. I guess it does go back a little bit to our conversation we had about racism in the past, saying how do you fix it? I don't think reading is going to fix it. I get education is part of it, yes.
Reading there has to be, on its own, no. Absolutely.
Yeah, reading on its own, no. There's got to be more things put in place. I guess some people can say this is a good step in the right direction. Others can say it's not a step in any direction. It's just a false sense of leniency. Yeah. Not a false sense of leniency. It's just a massive bit of leniency given.
I agree.
So, incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. Welcome to England, people.